Webinar today. I'm Joel Gress with Dynamic Tech Services, and along with me is Paul Beckler from Solution Technology. So we appreciate Valerie and Jeff with Plumbline for presenting this content, given the cancellation of the SL User Group Conference. And if you have any questions as we go through this webinar today, feel free to post them in the window, and you can reach out to either myself or Paul or your primary consultant after the webinar. With that, let me turn it over to Jeff and Valerie.
Thank you, Joel, and thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your busy day to learn a little bit more about what's going on in the Dynamics SL world. Now, Joel says a pertinent and thing that still is hurting me is the fact that we did not get to see all of you in Tampa. But also note that we are having, the DSLUG is coming again. It will be in the April timeframe in St. Louis, so you have an option to, for me to be able to see you again. But what we're doing today is I'm going to take lots of content that Microsoft was getting ready to present at the DSLUG, and we're going to kind of condense it down here to 30-40 minutes. Again, during this whole time, please feel free to ask questions. We will address your questions at the end. So if you have anything that's out there, please feel free to do so. So today's agenda, what are the things we're going to talk about? The first thing we're going to talk about is life cycle. And specifically, you guys are talking to me on a very significant day around life cycle. So we'll talk about life cycle in Dynamics SL7. And then this session, we're going to do a little recap. So what's been happening over the past year in the Dynamics SL world? What's released and so forth? We'll focus a little on some web app items that have been enhanced over the past year. And then we'll focus on some areas that are Microsoft ideas. So these are not specifically Dynamics items, but these are Microsoft items that are very, very popular right now. And we want to show you what we are doing in the SL world to connect with them. And then, of course, we will end on what's coming next in Dynamics SL 2018. When is that going to be released, and what are the kind of the pillars or the ideas that we're focusing on for the SL 2018 release? So lots of good. So let's go ahead, and I'll go ahead and get started. So the first thing we'll talk about is lifecycle. You guys happen to be having your session on a very important day. This is the end of extended support for Dynamics SL7 ends today. So you might be saying, well, what does that mean? Well, I'm glad you asked. Well, of course, if you ask Jeff or marketing, that means it's time for you to upgrade. If you are still in SL7, you've been off of mainstream support for a while, and we want to get you up on the latest and greatest version of SL. So of course, that's what Jeff's going to say, but let's talk about what it really means to you as an end user. It means generally that if you try to go and get support, and I think it's probably a little leeway if you do it today, but after today, you will generally not be able to get support. That means that it is left the standard 10-year life cycle, so that means you've been on SL7 for over just about over 10 years now, and it is leaving the extended support, so we need you to go ahead and move up to a product that is still on this support life cycle. So another question I get, so tell me how this SL7 versus 2011 versus 2015, so I kind of put this chart together to kind of give you an idea where you are in that area. So obviously here on the right-hand side, we just talked about it. If you're on SL7, support has ended, no more support if you call in or email in for a request. Now, the next version, SL 2011, that came out after that, that is in extended support currently. And that extended support will take you through 7/13 of 2021. So you can stay on SL 2011 through that time, but you're in extended support, not mainstream support. So what's the difference? Well, here we are in extended support. What extended support means to you is that there are no longer any hot fixes. So if you do happen to find an issue in SL 2011, unless that issue is, doing damage to your data, in general, a hot fix will not be created. Also, it means there are no year-end updates. So if there are any changes to W-2s or 1099s at the end of this year, those will not be created from Microsoft Dynamics SL. Now, Val will tell you about another option that you might have, but as far as standard SL, that's what's going to happen. And that is a policy that is not specific to SL, that's just across the board in the Dynamics world. When things go into extended support, they remove hot fixes and year-end updates. So again, we're just complying with what Microsoft has set up globally. So SL 2015, where are we at with that? SL 2015 is still in mainstream support. It will be in mainstream support through 2020, so the 14th of January 2020. So that means during this time frame, you can request a hotfix. You will get year-end updates that happen at the end of the year. So anything that happens, whether it's just W-2, 1099s, or any coding that might need to be changed in the core product, you will get that. So I just wanted to kind of put that all together, because usually when I talk about one ending, you're like, well, what does that mean to the rest? Well, hopefully this slide right here will explain that to you. Again, if you have any other questions, you can contact Paul or Joel or whoever your consultant is. So we've gotten through life cycle. Let's talk about, so what's been happening? What's released over the past year? Well, we've been very busy. The first thing is last December, we rolled out Dynamics SL 2015 CU2. CU stands for Cumulative Update, and the second cumulative update that's been released for 2015. Makes sense. So what is a cumulative update? Well, that usually is just a roll-up of hot fixes that have released since the last cumulative update. So that's going to be there. Secondly, we took it as a vehicle to release something in addition. So last year, the big topic, and it's actually it continues to grow, is Power BI, Microsoft's tool to allow you to visualize information, whether it's something as simple as an Excel document to something as complicated as an SL database. And so Power BI can connect to anything. So we released a couple of things with that, and actually we'll show you what those things are here in a couple minutes. But we released a Power BI dashboard that connected to your project information, and we'll take a look at that. So that was released right at the end of calendar year 2016. And then another area that we focused on is web apps. Now, if you haven't seen web apps, again, we'll talk about it in just a second, but web apps is basically our remote way to access Dynamics SL through a web browser. So since the release of last year, we have been able to add new web apps. We've been able to enhance web apps, obviously add hotfixes. But the big thing is we went into a monthly release cycle. So what this means to the end users, if you're an existing user and you find an issue, it doesn't mean that you have to wait 6 months to a year to get something fixed. It's something that we can address as soon as we can get that in, tested, and verified. It also means, and this is one that I'd love to hear from you for, is that when people come to me and say, Jeff, I really like it, but we'd like to enhance it in this way, that way, or the other way, if your enhancement is something that can be rolled out and makes sense, then we have the option to be able to roll that into the core product. I can't tell you that I'm going to roll them all into, because I would get smacked by my development manager, but believe me, I'm out there trying to make anything that makes a lot of sense that I know other people can benefit from. I want to have that in the core product, because that means more of you using it, so on and so on. So we've been very, very successful with our monthly release cycle. I probably need to update this because I think we're getting ready. Looking at the day, I think we've already released our October release, so we're getting really close to that. So we continue to release them on a monthly basis and be able to address, add new things, and new features and functionality. So very, very excited about that. So let's talk about those web apps. So again, it is our way to remotely access SL. The big thing about it is it's just a website. So that means we can say it's supported by a Microsoft device, an Apple device, or an Android device. So that is the key thing of web apps, and it's kind of like we would say we could never say that with the business portal, and that's why we really developed and put a lot of time into developing web apps. As far as functionality goes, well, we've added over 75 different enhancements to the core product since last December. So December was kind of we kind of made a major release in that December timeframe, and since that, including that release, we've had over 75 enhancements to the product. These come from things that we've wanted to roll into the product. This has come from, a lot of it's come from customers who are using it and saying, I like it, but this is what really helped us out. So it's very exciting to see the number, and this continues to grow, of the things that we've done to the web apps from our side, but also, more importantly to me, from you as a customer giving us great input. We've added new web apps, vendor maintenance, customer maintenance, payroll, employee maintenance, and so forth. And been a lot of focus on making sure that web apps are working good for the people that currently have it and enhancing them so that new people will continue to enhance and work with our web apps. So as far as our feature set, obviously the first area that we focused on is a lot on the project area, which you would expect. We have had previous web access to it, which was our business portal, so the first thing we needed to do was replicate all that project features. So, time entry, expense entry, the enhancement there being that now I can do expense entry and attach a receipt to that. Approvals for all those different types of things as well. The new thing that was added is that timesheet entry, and that's different. That means that maybe it's Jeff's job to put in time for Paul, Joel, and Val. So instead of having to go log into the Rich client, I can be remote and do that same type of functionality. I can set up a project, I can set up a new resource or new employee, I can set up their rates for different projects, and then the last one in that column, project analyst, then I can get a good financial view of what's going on in my project. The next column talks about a few other project focus items like utilization. Maybe we say that Jeff needs to be 75 or 70% billable, so we can set that up in the system and be able to track against it. And then we have a whole new set of feature that allows us to play that kind of what if. Just think of it as a sandbox. So if I've gone ahead and set up my budget to be 100 hours, well, what if I put Jeff, 10 hours this week, 10 hours the next? How are we going to look there? Will we be hitting our goals? Do I need to add more people to the project? So it gives me a kind of a sandbox and what if area. The new ones around the financial area around being able to set up or edit a vendor, customer, or payroll employee. And then some reporting areas like being able to run core reports that are available in SL. That's available remotely. No need to install any special report program on your program. It will go ahead and let you view reports that are being generated by the server. The whole quick query feature that we added in 2015, all those cool features available here remotely as well as adding features like our inventory, our requisition module, as well as being inventory lookups, the requisition module entry and approval, as well as some payroll. So we continue to add areas around the 2015 area and add new functionality. So I'm going to highlight just a few of the cool new items that I thought was pretty neat and very excited about. The first one was the menu. If you look at this menu, this looks pretty much Battleship Gray in my opinion. And so what I was very excited about is now we have the ability to turn on, again, if you like the old one, that's fine, we're not removing it, but you can turn on icons now. So now no longer does your interface look kind of gray and dull as far as your menu system. Your menu system is now colorful. We can go ahead and choose different icons that can be viewed. So this is what we ship out of the box. We have different menu systems. So instead of having the entry, so for example, if I chose project, I want to click down and see all of the different menu items. If I click project, it takes me down, and you notice that all the icons are going to have that same color. So as I start using the product, I can quickly see which menu am I in, of course by looking here, but also by noticing the color. Okay, this blue happens to be associated to the project area. So if I went into resource management, it would be that green, inventory, and so forth. So it gives me that functionality and that continuity. Now, like all things, we like to be able to customize them, so you can even customize your tiles. So let's say you didn't like the tiles that we shipped, no problem. There's nothing special about them. They're just a 100 pixel by 100 pixel file that sits in a folder. So Jeff can have fun and he can go ahead and make himself a tile. And I think that's been said many times. But you can see I can add a brand new tile. I could edit an existing tile. The benefit there, again, is you can customize it to what's going to work best for your customers. It's simply as easy, if I want to, as just replacing the existing file with a new icon, a new file, and it's ready to go. So I guess a little bit of fun. It would have been great on stage, but as you're sitting in your seats going, okay, great, Jeff, we see your picture. Thanks, let's move on. So another thing that was added, it's probably, you would say, it was a little bit more functional. One of the things that happens most in time card entry is submitting your time before you complete it. If you're anything like me, it's Friday, you want to get out the door, you're done, and you go ahead and go into the system and you switch it from in process to complete, you hit save, and then you want to run out the door. But if we look at the bottom, you notice that I forgot something. I only have 8 hours entered for the week. Boy, what if I was a company that needed 40 hours, like most? I need to go ahead and put the rest of my time in. Now, usually what would happen today is I would have to call my approver and say, hey, I know you're probably out the door as well, but here's the deal. I need you to go ahead and reject my time card, send it back to me, then I need to go ahead, reopen it, pull it up, do it, change it, fix it, resubmit it. A lot of steps go into that process where when I know that I messed up, I would really like to be able to pull it back and reopen it. And we have added that feature. So all you need to do is I've got my completed time card. I click on summary. Because my time card has not been approved or reviewed by anybody yet, I can pull it back and reopen it. So if I click on reopen, it pulls up a screen where I can put in my description of why. It's going to require that I tell them why. And I can click on reopen. What's going to happen at that point is it sends an email to my approver who already got the notification that Jeff submitted his time card for approval, and they'll say, hey, Jeff happened to reopen it, and here's why. He forgot to put in his time. Now they have that notification. It's completely open. I can make my edits, add my additional 8 hours or 36 hours here or 32 hours here, and now I've got my time and I'm ready to move forward. So again, things that we can't do in the Rich Client, some things that we're being able to do on the web apps because of the flexibility we have. And again, this feature is something that you can choose to turn on or you can leave it off. And that's really, you'll kind of hear me say that over and over again, but that's really the focus, is that we really wanted to be able to add new features, but we don't want to force them on you in case you don't want them. Now the next one that was added is something that we were going to highlight in a session on how to customize web apps. And one of the things was how to add custom links. So we've added a new menu item called external links, and we've added the ability for you to add external links. Now I'm working with the person who developed this because this is definitely a session we're going to do in St. Louis when it happens in April, but I'm going to see if I can get some of this early information out as well. But if you need to add external links, and the idea, it could be a website you like to go to, it could be internal, it could be a SharePoint site, any type of link can be dropped into there. So if you need that sooner than later, go ahead and contact Paul or Joel, and we can get that information over to them sooner rather than later. The next is another nicety when you're doing your expense entry. One of the things with expense entry and the way it is you put in your expense type and then you put in your project and task. And so every new line item, you have to do this. So one of the new things we add is that when you click on the new row button and I go ahead and I put in my expense type, it automatically populates my project and task by looking at that previous line. So no longer do I have to type in my project and task for every single line item. If a project and task are needed for the line item, it's going to look to the previous line item, and if it finds a value, it will auto-populate for you. Again, if you don't like it, you can turn it off, but a feature that I love, because when I'm doing my expense reports, generally it's for the same project and task. You can turn it off, or you can go ahead and just edit it, of course, but again, to me, a great feature to auto-populate your projects and tasks. And here's one that's coming soon for the people in the crowd that have a lot of invoice comments. One of the features of the invoice comments is that your invoice comment button and your day info button would automatically change visually. If you were highlighting a specific column, it would tell you whether you had an invoice comment or a day info comment. The problem with is that if I were to click on Sunday here in this particular example, then I could see whether there was invoice comments. I couldn't see if Monday had invoice comments because I'd have to click on the actual tab one at a time to view them. So what we've done is we've moved the invoice comments and day info buttons into the grid. So I can say, if someone says to me, you have to put an invoice comment in for your Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, I don't even have to open up the screen to see if there's invoice comments. I can quickly see that there's a star next to each one of these, so I know that for those 3 days I have entered in my invoice comments. Same if I had put a description in for my day information, those would display as well. So it's doing two things. It's giving you a visual cue if that's something that you need at your company. Again, you can turn it on or turn it off. But if you need that, it's going to display those buttons in there. But these are also, along with being icons, I can click on them and get directly to the screens as well. It's two purposes: a visual cue to let you know something's in there, and secondly, also a way to get to those screens quickly. So this one's coming soon. The reason why I know it's variable, you say, hey, how do you have this already? Because this exists in another version of web apps, which we'll talk about in a little bit, and we're moving some of those features back here, and this is one of the features that I'm excited about having back here in the 2015 version. So web apps, the roadmap continues. We continue to have a very successful monthly release cycle. Continue to add new web apps features. I know there's a request out there right now to go ahead and add something that's never been there. It's available on the Rich client to be able to view how things are going with your time cards as everybody put their time cards in. Again, that could be on the 2018 path right now, but we'll see. There's another request to enhance the printing, so I could go ahead and print a report and distribute it to multiple people and say, hey, I'm running this report. send this to Val and to Joel and to Paul, and then when they log in, they can view it and see the information. So continue to get some great input. Of course, we're addressing any issues as soon as we can, and we're building out features that are going to be in SL 2018 as well as those that will be in 2015 as well. So lots of good stuff there. Hopefully you could see those examples. Now, the next area, I'm going to go into the kind of the 3 power areas of Microsoft. The first one is around Power BI, and hopefully this is not the first time you're hearing about it, but if so, you can go out to any site and search on Power BI, and you're going to find a lot of information. Basically, think of it as a nice visualization tool to be able to interact with your data. Now, your data can be as simple as an Excel document that you have, or as detailed and as much stuff that you have in it as a Microsoft Dynamics SL database and anything in between. So the nice thing about it is it allows me to interact, view that information that's out there. So we created a dashboard last year, and we showed a little bit of it at the DSLUG or DSLUG last year, but what we've done and actually released is 2 things. One, there's a nice document. So if you've never done Power BI before and you'd like to understand how do you connect Power BI, how do I get it, how do I install it, how do I connect it to my SL database? Lovely document in there that'll walk you just through the basics and get you set up and starting to play. But what I'm more excited about is a dashboard that we've created. So our Power BI SL dashboard is available. You can even download it today and run it on your SL 2015 installation. So again, we're going to continue to do more things in Power BI, but this is something that you can even take advantage of today. So in our report that you see here, we'll just kind of highlight some of the things. We've got the ability to look at labor and expenses, look at your gross margin for your projects that are out there. I'll be able to look at revenue, labor, and expenses. Now, all of these reports here that you see can be interacted based on this, we call these kind of slicers on the upper left-hand corner. Let's kind of blow that up to show you. And the nice thing about it is basically the information that you see will go ahead and change based on what you've selected. So for example, if I go ahead and I select I want the top items, the top 5, the top 10, the top 20 of these items, I can choose that here. I can choose the years that I want it to report on. I just want to look at the current year, the previous year. I can choose 1 or multiple years, and also I can choose multiple periods at a time. So I can say, I can really kind of narrow down what this report will show me based on the different parameters that I choose here. We can even choose exactly, hey, I only want to see things that were active, and so forth. So anything that's available in there, you can view it. Now this is looking at a project performance month to date. We've also created a similar report, what's looking at inception to date, meaning look at the very beginning of the project through now, not just for the current period. So you have the ability to view both of those types of information. Some of these reports, for example, the one here, the kind of the circle or pie chart, you can actually drill down, and here's an example of us drilling down to look exactly who's putting their time against a specific project, and we can see exactly the amount of money that's being put through Tracy Tallman, 19.2 million. She's doing pretty darn well. So again, great reports available to you now. Now the third one that we came up dashboard-wise was to kind of give you what's doing great at the top, what's not doing so great at the bottom. Similar ideas to what we had before. We have all those slicers. We can look at the top 5, the top 10, whatever you happen to have. The thing that's exciting to me is all the different kind of the measures that you can use to slice up the information. We can look at period-to-date revenue, expenses, labor. We can do period-to-date plus committed amounts or committed hours. Just look at all those different areas. And the cool thing about it is actually, as we said before, you can choose multiple. So maybe you want to see revenue versus expenses together. Go ahead and click on both of those and have the report show you that information. So a lot of great information that can be viewed. And again, this is available today. The next area around the Power area, so to speak, is around Power Apps. Now, what Power Apps is basically a way to create an interface and create kind of a little mini application to access and view and interact with your data. So this is very different. In the past, if someone comes to you and says they want to see something, they might say that, we need to build an application in Dynamics SL to do all this. Well, you have the ability to actually, with Power Apps, to build something kind of more on the fly. So you can create an app that will interact with SL information. You don't need to write code to interact with it. You can even update information in SL if needed. Again, there's a lot of functionality of what Power Apps can do. Now we're going to show you an example here in a second, but basically the nice thing about it is that your Power App is something that you can quickly build. It can be as simple as, let's say you just have a simple chart here. It's going to show you maybe you're using it to view customer information, view inventory IDs just to see what you have in stock. You know, that's pretty simple. All you're going to do is connect to your inventory table and display what you need on this app. The nice thing about it is this app can be obviously run on the desktop, as you would expect, but it can be run on something like an iDevice or on a tablet. So you can really interact with the information that's out there as well. Now the next area, well, we're going to show an example of that, so I'm not done with that. So another example of something you can use is called Flow. And Flow is kind of nice because what it allows you to do is it's a nice way to monitor or be notified of something that's out there and potentially take action. So what do I mean by that? So, well, a really example of this is they have pre-built-in flows that are out there. So I could set it up. Let's say your company is worried about or wants to keep on track of people tweeting about your company. And let's say Valerie says something really nice about Dynamics SL out there. So what can happen is if Valerie does say something nice, and we can send her a nice little email automatically through Flow. It'll come from me that says, Val, thank you very much for doing this. We appreciate your kind words. You know, feel free to contact us. Now at the same time, when that tweet happens, we can also take that information, and the Flow can take what Valerie said and taking her information from Twitter, and it'll go ahead and put it in an Excel document for me to come and view. And so I would get an email, and the email would say, hey, Jeff, here's information on Val. I said, hey, you know what? That's really nice of Val. Let's put her in as a customer that we can go ahead and contact in the future. So if I click on the little checkbox and I would have an email that would show me the information, I could click on the little checkbox and it would go ahead and automatically take her information and put it into the SL database. So that's an option. That's something that you can do. You might not be Twitter people. I know I'm not the best at it, but again, it's just a nice example to say that you can connect basically a flow to most anything that's out there. It can do lots of different things. In your case, think of it, maybe you want to go ahead and use it to monitor your customer table. You want to monitor your vendor table. Maybe you want to know whenever someone adds a new customer or a new vendor that you get notified as well. And here's just an example again, just like we talked about in Power Apps, these things are available to run on your remote devices as well as on any other PC as well. So think about that. Maybe you do want to keep track of people that are adding accounts, people that are adding vendors, customers. Flow is perfect for it, and you don't need to do anything special. You don't need to create any special application. It can just literally sit out there, tell it to email you, and you'll be notified of that. So what I asked for from our team, I said I would love to have a demonstration and show people what we can do between Power Apps and Flow. So what we came up with is a scenario, and is accounts payable. And you want to be able to know when accounts payables, how you're doing in the accounts payable area. Now, if I were to shoot an email out for every time that someone was overdue, that's definitely possible, but you might get a lot of emails, and based on how frequently you do it, it could kind of lose its flavor real quickly as getting, you know, hundreds of emails over and over again that something is overdue. So what we can do here is we've set it up that we can view the customer payables due. We can actually run aging remotely if we notice that some things don't look like they're updated. We can get the results of the aging in an email, and we can also contact customers right from this app. So here's a couple of screenshots just to kind of show you the walkthrough of this. So here's a screenshot of it. This is really, to me, is geared, I can of course run it on my desktop, but geared towards my phone people. And when I'm out there and I'm connecting you and I'm running this app, and I can go ahead and quickly see that Daltum has about 24,000 outstanding balance. I can go ahead and click on that person and see some more information about them. We can kind of see how it's broken out. This is kind of an early version. We actually show a little bit more of the breakout of the items that are out there. And then what we could do here under the emails, I could actually click on the email icon. It will go ahead and interact with my email that happens to be set up on my desktop, and it'll allow me to go ahead and email that person right from there. So I might say, hey, what's up with owing 24,000? Can you please help me out? So you have that capability as well. We also have the ability to run, as we said, the aging. So again, I can scroll through, I can search for customers to find them and see how they're doing. And I can also say, you know what, I don't think we've run aging, so I can actually click on this. It'll provide a drop-down box where I can choose all the different cycles that are out there, choose the one that makes sense, go ahead and execute the AR aging analysis. This is going to make sure I want to do this. I'll click on yes, and it automatically will go ahead and email me a document. So the front end is a Power App. The automatic emailing and creating of this attachment file is through Flow, so you can see Power Apps and Flow kind of easily merge together. So now I'm here, I can click on the aging, like this is a kind of an early version of it, it's not the final version, but you can see it basically took the data that was in there, put it in Excel for me to be able to view the information about these customers. I can then do something like I can take this email, I could have it automatically sent to my manager. So if I'm set up as SL, I can figure out who my manager is, I can click on that button, and it will allow me to forward this to someone. Now, what it also allows us to do is set up some type of approval, which we'll talk about in a second. So we could actually use Flow to send approvals to people, let them view it, take that approval action, and move forward. And that will be interesting here in just a couple minutes when we talk about some things that are going forward. Now, I also said that's great if I'm running it on a small device, but what if I'm running this on my tablet or my desktop? So we've created another version, again, using Power Apps as well, to do pretty much the same thing. We can, of course, search for our customers as we need, but what it allows me to view is view more at the same time, get their current balance, see how these things are doing as far as days do, and you can definitely tell I'm using a demo database because everything's way over 90 days. But again, you can get an idea of what's out there. Just like we had before, I can click on that person, drill down to the details, see how their balances are for the different companies that are out there. Again, same idea as we saw before, but again, in a little bit nicer layout, just because we have more of an area to display information. And again, we could do the execute the AR aging process as well, just as we talked. So those are just two examples of some things that we're going to be releasing with our next release, and that release is going to be called SL 2018, if you haven't been able to figure that out already. So we're very excited about that. So we're announcing the release of SL 2018, currently scheduled for the first half of the year 2018. So that means the first half of 2018, not the fiscal year here at Microsoft, but the actual calendar year. And the sooner it will get out, the better, so we can get you these great new features and functionalities that are out there. So very excited to announce that. The other thing that I would announce that's going to kind of change the way we do things is something that we've learned and benefited greatly on over the past year, which is our release cycle. So one of the things that we're also announcing is that with SL 2018, we have been, and we are moving to an agile methodology. So what does that really mean? But basically what that means is that's what we'll be using for the past year with our web apps, where we're doing, we're working through issues, we're adding new features, we're doing it very quickly, and then we're being able to put these out. So what we're going to be able to do with SL 2018 is we're not going to go monthly, because I think that would probably drive you all crazy, but we're looking to go more of a quarterly release with SL 2018. So that means that every quarter, whether it's addressing a hotfix or adding a feature that I might not have got into the initial release, will not be stuck. So that means that what I'm going to tell you about next is all the features that I want to have in SL 2018. This means that if I don't get them out on the first day, it doesn't mean that we're done. It doesn't mean that we're stuck with what we have. It means that I can continue to add new features. Because to be honest with you, if I didn't get all the features that I wanted to get in here, I was going to yell. So this was not the compromise, but this made a lot more sense. This is something that we've seen great success in the web apps world, and something that we can go ahead and address here with the 2018 release. So again, the idea right now currently is that we'll be doing quarter releases. So that's big news, and that's a big change. Now let's talk about what are those things that we're going to have. Well, we just spent 3 quick demos of things around what we call the Power Suite evolution. Let's just kind of go to the next slide so I can tell you more about them. So continuing to do things around Power BI, Power Apps, and Flow. And you've seen examples of all 3 of them already. And one of the things we're trying to release here is something called an OData connection. And basically what that means is that you could be in Power BI, and one of the options when you download Power BI is that you can connect directly to SL. Now there's ways to do it manually, and we've included that in our documentation, but we're trying to get more of an automated connection to make it easier for people to create new content and deploy them as needed. So That's one of the things that we're really focusing on, along with those examples that I showed you for Power BI, Power Apps, and for Flow. So you've kind of seen that, and that's something that we're excited about. Now, one of the things with Flow that we talked about is the ability that with the Power Apps is to potentially do some type of approving inside of a Flow via an email, something that we've always wanted, and I'm excited to say that we are going closer to get to that area. So what we're going to do, if we jump over here quickly to approvals, is that we are going to be adding an approval process to the key SL screens. Now, the idea behind it is that we're going to build some of the structure that we need around the approval tables sooner rather than later. So when SL 2018 releases, the tables that are needed to do the approval will be in the database. Now, what this means is that with this quarter release, if they don't get all the approvals I want in there, we're not sunk, we're not stuck. So what we can do is part of our thoughts is that we're going to use Flow to connect to these new tables, because Flow can read a table, update a table, and move forward. So we're looking to have the approval process be available to us as well. So that's exciting. So again, the nice thing about it is you're not going to be stuck, I shouldn't say stuck, you're not going to be limited to just communicator approvals. Is that something we can do outside of the product, but built in some Microsoft technology that's available to you. So I'm very excited to see that. Other areas, on the left-hand side, we're doing things around the query and preview. One of the areas that I worked with the team is taking that query and preview, and if that idea is around the idea of having a quick query with a preview report right next to it, which is what we have with invoices, and basically rolling it out to different areas in the product as well, whether that's something as simple as looking at a GL batch or journal transaction or whatever it happens to be, is rolling that feature out across to that, and continuing to work with our quick queries to enhance them and make them better, helping with the drill back functionality as well. With our web apps, that's going to stay the same, but I do want to take, there is a little bit different going on with web apps. We continue to do things on a monthly basis, but some features that we've been requested require a change to the core product. When we run into those, then we kind of move those into our 2018 path. So there are features that are currently already in 2018 version that will not make it back to 2015, but anything that can, and I beg, can be moved back, is being moved back. But if there's something that's a big enough change, then that will just be on that 2018 path as well. The next is optimizing financials. There are some things that we've had in the product forever, in the payables and general ledger, things that we've had to do and had to live with, that I'm kind of going after. I know our financials and everything are very solid. They've been used for obviously years and years, but there's some things that I'd like to make easier. So continuing to work on that area and enhance those areas as well. In the project area, one of the big areas I get is to be able to do projects and be able to allow people to approve projects when they'll be able to view invoices and so forth. So we're looking to getting our preliminary invoices out and put into a common site so you can view those. Being able to run them quicker so we can automatically generate PDFs and put them in the other areas for people to approve them, and some other time-related enhancements as well. So lots going on. The big thing to take away with it, we're continuing to focus on there, obviously kind of focusing across all the areas of the product. The thing I want to take away, Power, any of the new things that are coming with SL, we are going to continue to do, we're going to deliver things to help you take advantage of that. We're not being left out. We are driving and making sure we are lockstep with what Microsoft is doing. And then addressing the core product. But again, the thing to take away is because of our quarter release, if you don't see one of these things the day it releases, it does not mean it will not be coming. And that's something that I'm excited about, because that means that Jeff can get his way and Jeff can get even more features added. So with that, I thank you so much. Again, this is our roadmap. We kind of just talked all the way through it. But again, SL 2018 will be releasing in the first half of 2018. Again, we've just talked about all those features, and then continuing to ongoing development. And this is the roadmap that all the Dynamics products are using right now, so we're very excited for what's coming up. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Miss Val so she can show you all the great things that she's doing over here with the PCL products.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me share my screen. Ooh, I think I shared the wrong screen. Hold on one second.
Your daughters are cute.
Yeah, that was my, oh man, I'm having a screen sharing issue. Hold on a second. Ah, that was my plug for my children.
Exactly.
So good afternoon, everybody. I hope you can see not my children anymore. I'm Valerie Borak with Plumline Consulting, and I just want to share with you some updates and some products that we want to make sure that you guys are aware of. So one of our big releases for this year is if you are still on SL 2011, and what Jeff had mentioned earlier, if you're still on SL 2011, and we understand you might not have had the time to upgrade or maybe the budget this year and you have it on the roadmap for next year, but you still are needing your year-end updates. We are actually putting together a package so that you can purchase year-end updates for SL 2011. This is only going to be available for SP2, FP1, and SP3. And as you can see on your screen, the cost is listed over here on the right. And we have some promotions going. If you sign up for the package before October 31st, there's a 20% discount. Before November 30th, there's a 10% discount. And after November 30th, it's full price. And the price is based on how many W-2s and 1099 forms you're filing. So that total number either puts you under or over 100, and then that's how your price is calculated. So if you are on SL 2011 and you need year-end updates, please reach out to Paul or Joel and get, or your Dynamic Tech consultant, and get signed up for this package. So one of the really important releases for me is our newly rebranded Rainbow Search is now being called Quick Find. And we're calling it Quick Find to make it easier for you to understand that this product makes it easy to find information in SL. And not only did we rebrand the product, but we added a new functionality to it. So Quick Find gives you the ability for all of the modules in SL to open a screen for that specific module and search for information, as you can see in this AP search. So what you're able to do is you could come in here and say, give me a specific vendor, and you F3 for your vendor list that has an original document amount over 560.15 or greater than or equal to 560.15, and you would do shift greater than sign, and this would light up in teal. And then you would hit search, and all of your results would actually export to a grid, and you could export those results to an Excel pivot table. You could also drill down to those results in the table or in the grid and drill down to the actual document, or if you were in AR, you could drill down to the actual application. So you can find a lot of information very quickly. This product is not replacing QuickQuery. It's just a module that you can use to find information really easy in SL. So Plumline Consulting uses this actually in-house. We use it daily. My accounting staff loves it. I'm a big believer in the AR search. So if you are interested in finding information easier in SL, please reach out about our Quick Find module, because you can get it in AP, AR, GL, and Project Controller with the export to Pivot, Excel pivot tables as a package, or you can get a package with all of these searches in one. And by all, I mean we have inventory, inventory lot, purchasing, sales order. I know I'm missing a number of them, but there's a lot of searches out there, and they can be purchased all or just the core 4. Another thing I'd like to announce is we are partnering with FastPass to provide the SL Community Audit Trail powered by FastPass. So this product gives you the audit trail capability. It's a very robust audit trail. You can choose fields. You can have the reports emailed to people. You can you can choose different values. It has a lot of auditing capabilities. It's easy to set up, and it's very user-friendly. So if you're needing audit trail capability and your auditors are asking you for information that you just aren't able to provide them, please reach out about our Audit Trail product. We're actually going to be doing a webinar on it on the 26th, but we do have some information we can provide you outside of that. So Audit Trail powered by FastPath, now coming to you by Plumline. And the last product that we have partnered with Integrity Data to provide Integrity Data's ACA SL edition. If you do not have an ACA module right now and you do not have the means of reporting for your ACA, please reach out to Dynamic Tech about this module, because you will have to report if you meet the requirements. There's no end in sight. Legislation is not stopping filing for this year, so if you need to file for to stay compliant with your Affordable Care Act, please reach out, because we do have a module that helps within Dynamics SL. Now some easy to use products that I love to talk about. Prepaids processor. If you are tracking your prepaids on a spreadsheet, which I find a lot of people do, if you're tracking your prepaids on a spreadsheet and you'd like to just set them up once and be able to click a button at the end of every period to post all your prepaids, we have a product for you, Prepaids Processor. You can set it up based on different accounts, companies, different debit and credit transactions. You can automatically distribute the funds or manually distribute them. You can pull the information directly in from a voucher, and then you can go in and hit a button to process all your prepaids for that month. And it actually has some reporting capabilities. You can see what prepaids you have, what prepaids with current balances, and forecast your prepaids as well. Very popular product, very inexpensive. Something else I forgot to mention, we do have a handout. In your handout section of the GoTo webinar, you can see a full listing of all of our products with pricing. So if you want to download that, you are more than welcome to. The next product I'm going to mention is our credit card import product. If you are bringing in your transactions from your credit card statement on a monthly basis and hand keying all those transactions into the system, this product is for you. You could import your credit card statement into the grid, edit the grid, and then hit post to AP. Once you hit post to AP, the system will automatically create vouchers for you, then automatically create dummy checks paying those vouchers, and then create a voucher to your credit card company for you. So it makes posting that credit card statement a lot easier. It updates your vendor history, 1099 information as well, and you don't have to hand key each of those line items if you're doing a lot of purchasing with your credit cards. Another credit card product I want to mention is voucher to credit card. If you are paying your bills with credit cards, this is an easy way to tag those vouchers as something you want to pay with a credit card. You can also create check identifiers so that you can make sure you can say, give me everything I paid with my Amex at the end of the year, things of that nature. You can load this grid right here with all the transactions that you want to pay based on a filter. You can also export the transactions to a CSV file if you are using like a bank or a credit card program where they give you bonus back for paying your bills for you and you have to upload a file of what bills you want to pay. We can export the transactions out of the screen and into a CSV file for you. So it is a product that makes paying bills with your credit cards easier within Dynamics SL. So if that's something that you would like to look into, please feel free to get more information on that product. For people who need multiple remittance addresses in Dynamics SL, you only can have one. This product gives you the ability to have multiple remittance addresses. You do have to have Customization Manager to use this product, but all you have to do once you have the product installed is create a code or pull up the customer, create a code for the different remittance addresses for that vendor, and then when you're choosing the vendor, you can choose which remittance address you would like to apply to that voucher. So it makes it gives you the ability to have multiple remittance addresses in a Dynamics SL, since at this time you can only have one. And another vendor type product is if you are a customer who is paying a lot of one-time vendors. As you know, in SL you have to set up a vendor ID. This gives you the ability to set up one vendor ID for that we would call one-time vendor, and then you would pull up that one-time vendor. You would click the button and this screen would appear. You would fill in the information for that one-time vendor and you wouldn't have to worry about creating multiple IDs for that one-time vendor. So it makes one-time vendor payments a lot easier. We have AP Void Check Entry Plus. If you void a lot of checks and you know the 3-step process it takes to void a check, this product will just make your life a little faster. You can load the grid, choose which check you want to void just by clicking, and then you can hit the process button and it'll create the void check entry, the debit memo batches, and the zero check for you. Also with this product, you get an AP voucher reverser. So if you haven't cut the check but you have the voucher, you can reverse the voucher from the screen. So you get both wonderful features for the price of one. It's an easy to install, no real setup needed, and you can just start voiding checks right out of the box. One of our newer products for this year is the Account Reconciler. So the Account Reconciler, the purpose of this module is to provide account reconciliation functionality, including the classifications of transactions within an account. So you're able to tag and match reconciled accounts. You can enter tags on the transactions to bucket those that information to be able to reconcile. You can pull up which items haven't been tagged to be able to filter them. You can use this product a lot of times for balancing intercompany or clearing accounts is the most popular functionality for it. So if that's something, if you have to balance a lot of intercompany accounts or clearing accounts, this might be a product that will make your life a little easier. And the last product I'm going to mention in this list of top products that we just wanted to make sure you were aware of is fixed assets. If you're tracking assets on a spreadsheet or an outside system, please look into our fixed asset module. It seamlessly integrates. It allows you to create transactions directly from a transaction in accounts payable, general ledger, project controller, purchasing. You can also go into one screen and process your depreciation for all of your assets. People use this to track non-fixed assets, and they also use it as a location tracking system. So it's a very popular product. We have a lot of customers using it, and if you have any questions on it, again, please feel free to reach out. Some other webinars we're going to do this month, in case you saw products that you were interested in, we'll have a fixed asset webinar. We also have an ACA webinar and an audit trail webinar coming out this month. So if you're interested in seeing some other live webinars, we do have a number of them happening in October. You can always reach out to me with any questions, but we'd love for you to reach out to your Dynamic Tech consultants if you have any more questions on our products or you're interested in any of them. If you have any more follow-up questions or would like more information, please reach out to Joel, Paul, and their team to receive more of that information. With that, that was my fast and furious, and we have enough time now to take questions on anything you might want to revisit from Jeff's presentation or from the information I provided you about Plumline. So all you have to do is type that information in the question box on the GoToMeeting panel, and we'd be happy to answer those questions for you. But with that, Joel or Paul, Jeff, is there anything you want to add?
No, I think you both did a great job. Thank you both very much. And if anyone has any questions, I guess we'll just give it a minute or so here and see if we have anything come through in the chat window.
Okay.
Valerie, is the place where customers can go and sign up for some of these webinars? Do you have them listed online?
Yep,
or?
Online on the Plumline Consulting website under events. They can just click on the events and register for any of those webinars. As well as there's a bunch of already recorded webinars on our YouTube channel. So if you saw a product that you want to see if there's already a recorded webinar out there, we have a lot of webinars not only on our products but on Dynamics SL in general. So if there's anything out there that they are looking for, they should always check our YouTube channel. Jeff, I think this question's for you.
No, I just put my contact information into the chat window so everybody can see that, just in case someone didn't have it.
Okay. Jeff, it says Microsoft Power BI. Can you show the slide again so I can ask my question about it? It was the slide that followed showing the nice visualization.
Okay.
Hold on, let me change presenter for you, Jeff.
Okay. All right, and then we'll start going backwards to try to find it. Here, let me stop this so I can get there quicker. So it was right around Power BI. So I will stay here. It was the slide that followed showing the nice visualization. So I've got them up here. Hopefully you can see the other ones as well for your question. Or maybe it was around Power Apps. We're waiting for a type. All right.
Okay.
It was the contact table. Yes, it was Power Apps. Okay. So the question is about how do you find Power Apps? Well, you can definitely connect with Paul and Joel and their team to understand it, but also you can go out to the Microsoft site and you can do a search on Power Apps and you can see how you can download it. So that'll allow you to download it. Now, the one that I showed today is not available out on the site yet. That's something that we're working on for the 2018 release, but it is something that you can download today and you can connect it to your Dynamics SL data. There's some steps that'll walk you through that whole process, but again, something that you can do right today with Power Apps. So again, Power Apps available. Go to your Microsoft site, do a search on it, and also, go to your favorite search engine and maybe go to YouTube. There's plenty of things that'll show you what you can connect with. All right. Good question. Thank you for your question too.
So, is there anybody else have questions out there? We still see a lot of people on.
All right, I guess that's it.
Wonderful. Is there a way you could show the Power Apps table? One more. Jeff, he said, is there a way you could show the Power Apps table again? And then Andrew says one more.
Okay, so the Power Apps table or the Power, I'll just quickly show a couple of them. Here's the Power BI and the reports that we've written. This was the high-level information on what Power Apps and Flow are. And if you're looking for the demonstration, here's the demonstration that we walked through. We talked about being able to view customer balances, whether it was on your phone, keep on going, or being able to run the aging process. And then there was another version of that same, different version of that same information that we created for a tablet as well.
That is it.
Is that it? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, so that's it. Okay. Yep, all this is, again, this is just something that we created using Power Apps to connect to that same data that I showed you on your phone. And we just made it a little bit nicer because we had more real estate. We built it for a tablet versus building it for your phone. Yep, this is the one that will be released in 2018. The ones, both of the demonstrations that I showed. Also look for a presentation coming up in the next several months where we'll go through this, and I'll do this live, and I'm also going to bring on a person who does the Power Apps development and the stuff and the Flow development for me. I will bring them on the call as well. So look for one that we'll be either doing through Plumbline or through the DSlug in the next several months. So we are trying just to get some time set up together so you can show that. And we will be we are distributing these decks, correct, Val?
Yes, we'll send them to Joel. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Joel will be getting them, and he will be able to distribute out to you.
And then any upcoming things for the distribution environment, Jeff?
So will you be, where does it say that at?
Up.
Okay. Yep. As far as distribution, I'm trying to think of the things that we have. I don't think I listed anything under distribution. Doesn't mean that there won't be some enhancements, but there's no major adjustments being made to distribution. Andrew, if you have some, I'd be happy to hear them. If you could put those through Joel or Paul and get those to me, I would be happy to hear what those are as well.
All right. We will send those decks out, and Joel and Paul will follow up with you guys with your recording and the presentation. So with that, thanks so much for your time today, and we were really happy. Such a great turnout to hear about all the great information on Dynamics SL and Plumline Consulting. So I'm going to stop the recording at this time, Joel, and you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.
Great, thank you.